And the purpose of imposing so high a fine was precisely to prevent the appellate courts from slapping down the judge and saying, what are you thinking? That kind of money for this kind of event? It's a cruel and unusual fine in violation of the Eighth Amendment. And the process by which he's being denied an appeal is also in violation of the Eighth Amendment. I hope his lawyers will bring these matters to the attention of the higher courts, because it affects not only Donald Trump. This kind of a tactic, this ploy, could be used by judges against anybody. Impose a high fine, possible for you to raise the bail, and then avoid being reversed on appeal.
Professor, you've been involved in a lot of big cases throughout your career. How would you assess the performance so far from Trump's attorneys in this case?
Well, Trump has had a hard time getting the top tier attorneys in many instances, because there's an organization called Project 65, a McCarthyite left-wing organization, which has as its goal deterring lawyers from representing Trump. They file bar charges, including one against me, absurd bar charge against me, and any other lawyer who defends Trump. And I've had lawyers call me and say, we'd love to defend the former president, but we can't afford to have a bar charge. I'm obviously fighting mine.
Right.
Everybody should. But there's a systematic effort by this McCarthyite, unethical Project 65 to prevent lawyers from defending Trump. And unfortunately, it's working.
So have you seen, just from, I know you don't represent the former president right now actively in this case, but have you seen instances where maybe the legal team should have done something else when they went in a certain direction? And I only ask that because I know you've been there countless times in your career.
Sure, I've done, 250 or more appeals. I think the worst mistake that was made was in the immunity case when the judge asked his lawyer, does that mean that a president can order the SEALs to kill his opponent and he'd have immunity? And instead of saying, of course not, now let me explain, he mumbled and he talked about context, the way the three presidents of universities talked about context when asked about whether you can advocate genocide against the Jews. A lawyer has to know the answer to certain questions are clear. No, a president doesn't have immunity for that. Now let me explain. So, his lawyers have made some mistakes. His lawyers have done very good jobs. In other instances, they did a great job in Fulton County, Georgia, bringing out in public the horrors of Fani Willis's relationship with Nathan Wade.
Right.
And although they get her disqualified, they made it almost certain that it would be reversed on appeal if there were to be a conviction. So I would say mostly his lawyers have done a decent job, but he's been denied the right to get lawyers of his choice by the 65 Project, which really endangers the rights of all Americans.
Yeah, Professor, that's a good point. Just about 30 seconds. But again, I know that you have met Chuck Schumer before. He is, I'd say he's the most prominent Jewish person in Washington right now, certainly the highest ranking as the Senate Majority Leader. He called for new elections to happen in Israel. Again, the most successful democracy in the Middle East and maybe our biggest ally. And he says that because he doesn't like Benjamin Netanyahu's policies and the way he's going after Hamas in Gaza, that, well, wouldn't you know it, they should hold new elections over there in Israel. How do you react to that as a prominent Jewish, successful Jewish person here in this country?
He's wrong, and so is President Biden wrong about that. Biden also said he thought the speech was a good speech. It was not a good speech. It would have been a good phone call. Friends call friends and say, gee, maybe it's time for you to step down. That would be an appropriate phone call.
Right.
But to public statement calling for an ally to change leadership is treating them not like an ally, but like a banana republic, like a vassal. So I think Chuck Schumer, who I've had a good relationship with over the years since he was a student at Harvard Law School, made a terrible mistake and it should not have tried to interfere in any elections. Israel should never try to interfere in American elections. The United States should never try to interfere in Israeli elections.
Yeah.
We shouldn't try to determine who the British will have rule them, the French rule them, the Canadians rule them.
So on and so forth.
Concerns about leaders all over the world. The people vote for who their leader should be.
Professor, I'm with you. I appreciate you being with us this morning. Good to see you again.